Welcome. We're going to talk about how to use the video camera for capturing 2D video in the lab. And this is the camera that we're going to be using for the Family Connections project specifically, but also for other things that we might be doing. So let me talk you through that. When you get ready to go on a visit, there are several things you're going to be gathering and getting ready to go, and you want to make sure you have all the parts. So clearly one of the things you want is the camera itself. If you look on the bottom of the camera, you will see that they're numbered, the RoHs, it's just the make and model of this. This is camera 1. There's also a camera 2. They should be in the bins, plugged in and charging when you get there. So you're gonna grab one of those and you're gonna sign it out in the equipment sign-up sheet when you get ready to go on a visit. In addition to this, you need to make sure that you have a battery. It may already be in the camera, ideally it is, but I'll show you how to install it in case that's not there. It would be in the bin otherwise. There are 2 of these for each camera. So I highly recommend that you take an extra with you as we go on a visit. As a matter of fact, let's just not recommend, let's just do that. So we have a backup battery in case something happens. In addition to the battery, you're gonna have an SD2 card. The card is gonna be able to handle the whole visit. They are gonna be numbered 1 to 4, FJC 1 to 4. And so you're gonna pick the one that is going to be signed out so we have a tracking of the data that goes with a particular visit as we move through. So I'll show you how to put that into the camera. There may be one in there already, and you'll just kind of go ahead and sign that out. You want to make sure you have the microphone. There's a couple microphones sitting around, but only one that works for us. And on the back of it, it's labeled RoHs, M-I-C for Mike, and this is the microphone you want to use. You'll sign this out as well when you sign out equipment. To get the microphone to work, you're going to need to have the cord that goes with it, and it's the cord with the 2 little plug-ins for sound on both ends. And that jack is going to be what helps make this work. In addition to those, you're going to make sure that you have a tripod. We're going to have 2 tripods in the lab. They're also labeled. Make sure you sign it out. Whatever tripod you're working with, really importantly, has a piece on the top that you need. And if I'm going to loosen this out, you're going to see that this piece slides out, and this kind of head to the actual gadget is what's going to make it possible to use it with our cameras. So that should be sitting in there already and ready to go. So that's what you're going to make sure you have when you get ready to go out on a visit. Let me talk about how to set up the camera and get it ready to go. So if you're bringing the camera in and it doesn't have a battery on the back, one of the things you're going to do to get started is to do that. So if you turn this camera around, I'm looking at the bottom. If you're looking at the bottom of it here, on the back you have this little flap. An SD2 card goes in here. So let's go ahead and put our card in. So take out the card that you selected for the study and signed out. If it's not sliding in, then you probably have it in backwards. So flip the card over. It should slide in easily. You don't have to force it. And it goes in until it clicks. I have to use my fingernail because they're so narrow to kind of put the pressure in the middle of it until you hear that click. And once it does click and is installed, it won't be sticking up anymore. It'll be fully in, and you can close the flap, and your SD2 card is ready to go. You should all be formatted and ready to go for the visit, and so you don't have to deal with that. But you still do, on this camera, need a battery. So this blank space here behind the SD2 card is where you're gonna put the battery. The battery has a copper matching to the set that goes inside. You're going to see that there are little tabs that stick out here on the side of the battery, and that they match tabs here. So you're going to want to line those up so that the battery is kind of sitting in there, halfway already in between those tabs, and then it just is going to push forward until you hear that click. And at that point, it shouldn't move around. To remove the battery, in case you had to do that, there's a little switch beside the SD2 card. Pull that toward you, and then you can slide the battery out. But you want to make sure for this that the battery is kind of in that space and clicked into place. All right, so your camera's ready. You've got the battery on. You've got the SD card in there and ready to go. The next thing I would do is I would go ahead and get ready to put it on the tripod where you are. You heard that thump, and that was that piece that we were saying is so important that you need to deal with to put this together. Usually you're going to come in, and this is going to be attached to the top here of the tripod. And the thing you want to do is this knob here on the side, right here, spins, and that's going to allow you to slide this piece out. And what's so nice about that is the screw where you're going to put the actual camera on top of has a holder on the bottom, and if you hold that, it's very easy to put the camera in. If not, the camera will stay loose and has the potential to fall over and not get the shot. So go ahead and remove that and hold on to the bottom of that piece So the screw is sticking out the other side, and go ahead and screw that into the bottom of your camera. And as you're doing that, you're gonna probably try to make sure that you get this lined up straight on the bottom. So I might sit that down, get it positioned where I want it, and then go ahead and spin that screw into the camera until it's tight and is not moving on you. And so that's really held firmly in place. So that's gonna go on the top of your tripod, but let's get the tripod itself set up. So you've got 3 on each leg of these clips that you wanna open up all the way for what we're doing in almost all instances, and you're gonna clip them shut to make sure it doesn't fall over on you again. So do that for each of the 3 legs. Open up 3 clips, pull them long, close those down. Okay, so I've got the legs set up. I'm gonna put that down here on the floor. Set this aside so you give yourself a little space to see what's going on here. I'm gonna set this up so that I can put my camera in it looking out at you. And I'm gonna put it so that the actual label is facing away, because I then make sure I have access to all of these adjustments. If you're just sitting crooked at all, like mine is sitting just a little bit crooked, that tells me I didn't pull these out all the way. So one of them is kind of a little short. So let's just kind of make sure I've got everything pulled out and it's sitting level as it goes to sit on the ground. Yeah, see what happened? I didn't put that clipped all the way, it's just kind of sliding. All right, so tripod legs are set up. Tripod is kind of positioned in the position that we want it there. We're gonna go ahead and take the camera. This should just slide from the back into this space here. And it's in there very loosely, right? And so what we wanna do is spin that handle on the side of that piece until it's in there and it's quite secure. Now there's a few things I can do to do adjustments so I have just the shot that I want. There's a big knob here below the one we were just doing. This controls the looseness over this ball, so this gives you the 360-degree rotation. So make sure that we do that. It can go down and up here. So if we need to shoot down at somebody sitting at a table, right, that's gonna be really important. I might go ahead and take off this lens cover at some point here so I make sure I've got people in the shot as I'm taking a look at them, but I'm gonna use that to get adjusted. On the other side, I'm also gonna have, at the back, I guess is the place to go, another button. If I spin that up, it allows me to go in a different direction. I can go left and right. So the whole head stays the same, but I can go left and right. So that's the second knob. So I'm gonna get that all set up so that I've got it exactly how I want it. To really see what the shot looks like, you're gonna need to open this camera. That's the sound of it turning on. This will go up and down, so you can put it right where you want it, and you'll be able to see what is in the shot. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to get that set up. But once you have your tripod set up, you've got the angles here where you want it, people are in the shot, or this is the setup for the shot that you want to get. This is in good shape. It's time to go ahead and deal with that microphone. On the bottom of the microphone is a square. The square is going to slide into the silver piece at the front of the microphone, so the shot mic is facing away from you as the camera person. And then you're going to screw the bottom of that in, that little plastic dial, and that's going to put it in there so it's nice and secure. Nothing should really move once you've got this secured down, so if somebody hit it, it's just going to kind of bounce a little bit back into place. Now, some very important things to make sure the microphone actually works. I don't think we were doing this last time, and if we do it now, the microphones work fine. At the top of the microphone are 2 dials. On the left is the decibels. You're going to make sure that's pushed all the way up to the top for a 20 decibel reading. If we're below that, it's not sensitive enough to pick up the voices that we're going to deal with. Probably have quieter, higher pitched little kid voices, so we need a pretty sensitive mic. On the right-hand side is the on-off switch. Super important. Turn it on. When you turn it on, you'll see that there's a blue light that comes on the top, and you should be seeing that. And that tells you that your camera is charged, or sorry, that your microphone is charged and ready to go. But still, you aren't going to get actual sound into your SD2 card when you're making a recording unless you actually connect the microphone to the camera. So use this, put it in the side here at the bottom of the microphone on one side, and on the other side, there's a hole for putting it inside as well. So that's going to just slide right in there. So now you have your microphone firmly attached here. There's a cord that puts it into the camera. It is turned on, it's at 20 decibels, it's ready to pick up the shot, and that's all good to go. One other thing that you want to do is you're going to make sure the microphone is turned on electronically internally to the camera. So for this, you're going to take a look back at this screen. This screen is a touch screen to help you set up the shot. There is a manual that tells you to remind you what the settings are that we want to use every time that we go in, and yes, you should check them every time you go in and not assume that they haven't been changed from before. That's your job. So when we take a look at this, we're going to use a couple of things here to work that touch screen. It's a pretty sensitive touch screen, but you can use the menu option here, and that's going to bring up 3 options along the side. The first is a camera with a gear. There's a settings right below that, and then there's another sort of export tab there. When we're at the very top, I like to use these up and down buttons because it's such a sensitive screen. The video settings are set for 720p at 30 frames per second. The EIS is on. The AWB should be set on auto. If I keep going down and hit these, the EV is set at 0.5, that's just fine. The AE emitter is set on center. The accutance is set on middle. I have no idea what that is. And the video quality is also set on middle. If it's too high of a quality, then the film comes in really big and we can't quite process that as easily as we need. As we go down from there, you have the ISO set on auto. There's a data and a timestamp on here. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you set those and permanently input that date and timestamp, but this just is saying, put a date and timestamp on it. And below that is microphone. If this is on with the check mark, you're good and ready to go. If not, push this OK button here, and that will toggle that on, and your microphone is now set and ready to go. I can then also go down to this gear here and take a look at the next set of settings here. For most of this, we should be all good and preset. We don't need the Wi-Fi for this. The frequency is set at 60 Hertz. The power button there isn't really the power button for actually using the camera, so that's not what we're going to worry about. But this is the tab if you go down. Below language, there's a time and a date stamp, and this is where you're going to enter time and date. So if you just touch on the touch screen, you can use a month, day, year entry point, and then you go ahead and put in exactly what the date and time is as you move down this. So if I go back, got that format, I'm hitting down, and it has a time set option and a date set option. So you can go ahead and push, for example, date set, and then you can toggle through this and get the month, day, and year. They are not setting. Each time you turn it on, you're gonna have to re-enter those things, so please be sure to do that. When your settings are ready to go, you can hit the menu option, take you back, oh sorry, you have to hit OK for me to get out of my date set. I'll hit the menu option, and I'm back here at the front side. And I've got my camera ready to go. So if I set this up, I'm all ready to go. Things are in the shot, and I'm ready to actually start recording. You're going to want to make sure if you hit mode at the very top, so there are 2 silver buttons here, one of them is mode. When I hit mode, it's going to give me some choices for how to do this. We want to be in normal video mode. So if you hit mode here, as you're on the menu, you'll have a set of ways that you can actually capture within the video mode. We want just normal record. So normal record will be an option there. I can hit OK to make that selection, or I can hit this X bar to come out, and that should be seeing a screen of what it is that I am recording. So I'm going to turn that around to pick up a recording from you, and I then just go ahead and push this red record button at the back. You hit the record button, you see that come on the screen here, and so you get that beep and it's recording, and you can kind of monitor that as you move through the session. When you're done with the session, go ahead and hit that record button again and turn it off. Make sure that you turn off the microphone as well, so you're keeping some of that battery life. You're going to unplug the microphone. That cord's really important. It's going to go in the bag with your actual camera. Go ahead and unscrew and make that microphone come off the top. Close your flap there, and go ahead and power down the actual camera itself. You're going to go ahead and unscrew that piece of the camera, and make sure that you immediately go ahead and take that piece of the tripod off of the camera itself, because no one else can use the tripod without that piece. So take that off with the screws sticking straight up toward you. Go ahead and slide that back on to the head there. You might need to put your finger underneath to make it slide on there. center it, close it up so it's all set there. Go ahead and open up these pieces and close up the tripod nice and tight. Go ahead and put that away. And go ahead and make sure you're storing this safely in the bags that they come in. Obviously, we're taking care of our equipment. That's ready to go. Your camera needs to have the actual lens cap put back on it. And then these go back in your camera case and you're ready to go to the lab. When you get to the lab, you're going to make sure that you plug in both your camera and your microphone so that they're always set to charge. And if you do that, you can leave the battery in so that's always charging too. What you will need to do is go ahead and remove that SD2 card. So open that up, push in, and the battery and the SD2 card will pop out, and you can slide it out, and then you'll be able to put this into the computer, into our SD2 card reader, and be able to process that data. Never store this SD2 card in the camera and leave, because that is unsecure data. Remember, this has got data on it. And so we want to make sure this is securely stored, that once it is securely stored, we delete it from the SD2 card, which is really scary. So make sure it's securely scored and follow that data management protocol. And then you can put this back into the camera once it's not got any data on it. And we can store it that way, so the next time people come in to actually do a session, the SD2 card may be already in the camera with the battery, plugged in charging, you're good to go. Don't forget, when you take these back into the lab and you plug them in and charge them, that you sign them back in the equipment list so we know where everything is at all times. You're ready to go.